Some more breaking news now, also once again from our US partner NBC News, and it is relating to this continuing saga involving the Trump administration and the Jeffrey Epstein files, and how many of those files are going to be made public. Well, a senior law official in the United States has confirmed that the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, is meeting right now with Ghislaine Maxwell, the former associate of Jeffrey Epstein, as well as Maxwell's own lawyers. They're meeting in a conference room inside the US Attorney General's office on the fourth floor of the federal courthouse in Tallahassee. Ghislaine Maxwell, of course, in prison. And we don't know much more other than that the meeting is expected to last throughout the day. Let's bring in Spencer Kuvin, who is a lawyer who's represented several of Jeffrey Epstein's victims. Thank you very much for being with us. And just first of all, I wonder what you make of this news that the Deputy Attorney General is right now in a meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell and her lawyers.
Thank you for having me on today. You know, it's unfortunately discouraging. The reality is that this is the personal lawyer to Donald Trump. And why would he be allowed a private meeting with Ms. Maxwell? The concern on behalf of the victims, and I've represented 9 of the victims, including victim number 1 here in Palm Beach, Florida. The concern is that he is going in there to somehow persuade Ms. Maxwell to either not testify before the open house and Congress, or to give her some kind of a deal to where if she leaves out certain names, that she'll get some kind of a lighter sentence. What the victims want is a full and open disclosure immediately, not only from Ms. Maxwell to Congress, but also a full and open disclosure of all the documents maintained currently by the FBI. For example, we know that they have over 1,000 hours of videotapes, surveillance tapes that were taken and preserved from inside of Epstein's mansions. We want those released immediately. And President Trump could do that with a swipe of a pen and an executive order tomorrow if he chose to do so.
Right. So you see this as President Trump clearly getting involved in this whole issue. His Deputy Attorney General, I repeat, meeting Ghislaine Maxwell as we speak. So what do you think of the way President Trump has handled this whole issue? On the campaign trail, he was all for releasing everything. Now suddenly he's not. What do you make of it broadly?
Well, it's frustrating. It's obviously incredibly frustrating. You know, the victims believed him and took him at his word that he was going to get into office and immediately release everything. We have said since this whole thing started, and this goes back, by the way, to 2006. This is going on almost 20 years of this Epstein saga. And we have always maintained that this was a broad conspiracy, that it was a sexual pyramid with Epstein and Maxwell at the top of the pyramid. But there were many people involved in these sex scandals throughout the world, and we want them all disclosed. We want the public to hear from the FBI's files about everyone that was involved in this scandal, not just Maxwell and Epstein. And it's frustrating that the president now is backtracking on the promises that he made to the general public to release this information.
So you have no doubt there are lists in these files. I mean, how significant is this revelation? Well, I say revelation. The White House is saying it's fake news, that there are multiple mentions of Trump in these documents.
So, in reviewing the discovery that we had in the cases that I litigated, there was never any per se list. So no one ever showed us, and we never saw a discrete actual list of people. What we did see are phone books and message pads of people that were calling the home and making arrangements for women and girls to be sent over to their house. And then those arrangements would be made by Ghislaine Maxwell. So, is there a quote unquote list? I never saw it. I don't know that one exists, but that doesn't mean that there weren't a whole bunch of individuals that were taking part in this entire, scheme, this sexual exploitation scheme. And, look, Donald Trump, it was admittedly close friends with Jeffrey Epstein for many years. We've seen him in numerous photographs at numerous events and parties with him. So if he's innocent and there is nothing that is, scary to him in these files, release them. But if he doesn't release them, then the public is going to be concerned that there is something in these files that maybe implicates him in this conspiracy.
And
So,
yeah, just finally, I mean, how much, well, what is the potential for this causing political damage to the president? And a two-part question, really, because we've only got a minute or so. And is there a problem here that the victims of Epstein get lost in all this?
well, certainly, I think the victims want this information to be released. But I think that in order to prevent things like this from happening in the future, that there needs to be accountability on all parts. That means accountability on the part of all powerful, wealthy individuals that were taking part in this scheme. So at the end of the day, if he doesn't release these documents, then I think it's a political nightmare for Donald Trump. I think that everybody is going to have serious questions if he fails to release and fully disclose this information.
Spencer Kuvin, thank you for coming on the programme.
Thank you for having me.